And now it's my honor to introduce to you the mayor of the great city of Saginaw, Mayor Floyd Kloc. Mayor Kloc graduated from Saginaw Valley College, now SVSU, and then from the University of Detroit Law School. He began his legal career in Saginaw's City Attorney's Office in 1979, where he served as chief assistant until he left to start his own private practice in 1988. He continued in the private practice of law as a general practice attorney with an office in the city for 31 years until his recent retirement. He lives here with his wife Diane and has 3 children and 2 grandchildren. Floyd has long been involved in serving the public. He was elected to Saginaw City Council in 2011 and served as Mayor Pro Tem from 2016 to 2018. As a member of council, he served on several influential boards and commissions. Floyd is a 40-year member and current president of the Downtown Saginaw Kiwanis Club and a 24-year board member of the Saginaw Kiwanis Foundation. He is a 25-year board member and current president of the Saginaw Symphony Association and a 31-year member and past president of the Historical Society of Saginaw County. Floyd is also a member of the Positive Results Downtown, the Downtown Saginaw Association, and Riverfront Saginaw. Please welcome your mayor, Mayor Floyd Kloc.
It's really an honor to be here today, and I want to thank each of you for attending today's State of the City and State of the County address. And a special thanks to the Saginaw County Chamber of Commerce for hosting us today. Now, you've probably heard some weather forecasts for later, so I promise I'll be done before that all hits. You're worried? Let me first start with some introductions. I'm going to have to do this. All right. I'd like to introduce this special morning my beautiful wife, Diane, my queen. Without her support, strength, and encouragement, I would not be here today. I'm also happy to be able to have my brother, Robert Kloc, here as well. Also in attendance are my fellow council members. I cannot say enough about this group. They are outstanding leaders, hardworking, and committed to this community. I am confident that with their leadership, we will continue to move Saginaw forward. I would like to ask them to please stand and be acknowledged. First, Mayor Pro Tem Brenda Moore, Council Members Annie Bench, Michael Balls, Clint Bryant, John Milne, and our newly elected members, Jamie Forbes, Bill Oshtash, and Autumn Scherzer. Thank you. Also in attendance today are our city manager, and I'd like to recognize him and his management team. Since 2014, we have had to navigate through a number of challenges. And Tim's skillful leadership, assisted by his management team, has helped to turn the course of the city to the right direction. I cannot speak on the state of the city and our recent accomplishments without acknowledging Tim and his team and their contributions. I'd like Tim and the management team to stand as well. I'd also like to thank the rest of the city administration and all city employees for their hard work and commitment to our goals. On behalf of my council colleagues, I thank every employee for working diligently every day to strengthen our city, grow our community, and build unity in our neighborhoods. It is an honor to stand here today as the new mayor of this great city. You have put your faith and trust in me and in this city council. We promise you that we will continue our commitment to improve the quality of life in Saginaw and to lay a solid foundation for a better future. Before I proceed to talk about today, though, I'd like to remind you of an important date from our past. 200 years ago, in 1819, the Treaty of Saginaw was signed. That period in our history was the tail end of the fur trade that had been the economic engine in this area that eventually became the city of Saginaw. So talking to you today, 200 years later, about the state of the city, I am mindful of our past, that economic engines change. The end of the fur trade was just the first of several challenges that have happened since. Probably the most notable, of course, was when lumber was no longer king in our valley. Things looked pretty bleak then, but over time the community came together into a center for automotive manufacturing, and Saginaw prospered again. This is important because while we have had challenging times in the past few decades, I believe we are again seeing an economic resurgence. Now that the city has repeated the cycle that occurred over and over in the past, we are again working to find our economic footing. And I believe we are succeeding. So what is the state of the city today? My answer is that it is one of growth, momentum, and anticipation of a brighter future. It is my goal this morning to speak to these areas to demonstrate the nature and scope of that growth and the potential for it to continue. To start, let's review recent progress, especially a pattern of accelerating growth in just the past 2 years. It is evident from the significant increase in the value of construction occurring in the city during that time. Based on the permits we issued in 2016, the value of construction in Saginaw that year was just $13.2 million. In 2018, permits issued show that the value of permitted construction reached $66.8 million. In only 2 short years, investment and construction in our city increased by over 400%. That is fabulous. The location of much of this growth is also significant. I'm talking, of course, about the opening of the new SVRC Marketplace and Farmers Market Pavilion and the Delta College Saginaw Center. In March, we celebrated the groundbreaking ceremony for Delta's downtown campus, and in May, the opening of the Marketplace and Farmers Market. The Marketplace is already bringing thousands more people downtown every week. The Delta Center, as a state-of-the-art campus, is expected to do the same. That increase in numbers has tremendous potential to spark new retail, restaurant, and service businesses downtown. Also, while both projects have been huge financial investments in Saginaw, the Delta Center is additionally a huge investment in our people because the educational opportunities it will provide will create new and better job opportunities for our citizens. These opportunities, in turn, will provide a higher standard of living and a better trained workforce and more prosperous citizenry will itself be a catalyst for growth. Development agreements were also forged in 2018 for 3 other long vacant downtown structures: the former Civitan building, the former Michigan Photo building, and the Lee Mansion. The Civitan is to be reopened as an educational and recreational center for children. The Michigan Photo building is to be returned to the first-class apartment complex it was decades ago. And the Lee Mansion is to be a lumber-era destination to the visitors to Saginaw, an historic front door for downtown. Most people saw these buildings as derelict white elephants, but visionaries saw them as opportunities for redevelopment, as steps into our future. Other visionaries are exploring other redevelopment opportunities here, including the possible rebirth of the Behringer Building and the former Jefferson Apartments. We don't know yet if these efforts will succeed, but these visionaries are the people willing to take a chance to explore these new possibilities. We also saw improvements that came from the Saginaw Downtown Development Authority's new 2-mil millage that allowed the DDA to allocate funds for streetscaping, facade improvements, lighting, security, and other programs in Riverfront Saginaw in 2018. With this levy in place, similar improvements will continue in 2019 and beyond. Complementing this progress, in November of 2018, members of Riverfront Saginaw, with funding raised by Saginaw's leadership class of 2015, yay, unveiled multiple gateway signs that introduced visitors from throughout the region to our riverfront. The signs encompass all of Saginaw's riverfront commercial, recreational, and cultural districts, and ensure that every entrance into these districts is a welcoming symbol of openness and warmth for visitors to Riverfront Saginaw. We also made progress during 2018 in the city's financial status. In spite of a budget limited by our tax caps and the state's withholding of millions of dollars in statutory revenue sharing funds, City Manager Tim Morales and the administration increased our general fund balance to 19% of expenditures. This means we are now in line with guidelines set by the Michigan Government Finance Officers Organization. It also strengthens our financial security for operational costs in the coming year. In 2018, the city even managed to allocate funds to complete nearly 15.7 lane miles of road rehabilitation, including the installation of 30 ADA-compliant sidewalk ramps and the reconstruction of the Niagara and Madison Street intersection. The city's water department was successful in securing a $960,000 pilot drinking water grant to update our distribution system materials inventory and to develop a plan to identify and replace lead and galvanized steel service lines. The wastewater treatment division likewise received approval of its new sewer asset management program. Both programs will continue and improve our management of these important assets and ensure continuation of high-quality water and sewer service to our residents. Phase 1 of the Davis Road project was also completed in 2018, helping us to ensure long-term reliability of our fresh water supply. Other successes in 2018 included timely completion of city and federal grant audits with no adverse findings, reductions in employee health care costs, and implementation of a new web-based employment application system. In 2018, in spite of economic constraints affecting our police and fire departments and our fire department's loss of its SAFER grant and with it 13 firefighters, both departments continued to keep our neighborhoods and homes safe and secure. For example, the fire department partnered with Saginaw County Central Dispatch and the Saginaw-Tuscola Medical Control Authority to develop a program for CPR-trained city firefighters to quickly respond with AED equipment to individuals in cardiac arrest, increasing their chance of survival. The department also entered into a mutual aid agreement with the Buena Vista Fire Department and held joint training sessions with the departments from several surrounding townships and other first responder organizations. Department personnel also wrote grants and secured funding for programs that allowed the purchase of 1,100 carbon monoxide alarms and 2,000 smoke alarms for firefighters to install in homes of residents lacking operable alarms. For their proactive safety efforts, the Saginaw Fire Department received the Leland Gayhart Fire Safety and Prevention Award in 2018. It is presented yearly to only one fire department throughout the state. On the police side, the continued reduction in violent crime throughout the city in 2018 is another positive. On top of the 33% reduction in serious Part 1 crime achieved in the preceding 4 years, it decreased another 2% last year. This was accomplished through the Saginaw Police Department's strong collaboration with multiple local, county, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. The SPD also was awarded a national public safety partnership with the Department of Justice to support law enforcement efforts for successful prosecution of violent criminals, especially those involved in gun crimes, drug trafficking, and gang violence. They also had received a training grant to help our officers learn techniques and methods for better communications and interactions with victims of crime. This training will improve relationships with victims and hopefully increase witness participation in prosecutions, increase convictions, and hopefully remove more violent criminals from the community. The department also brought 9 new police officers on staff last year to replace retirees. City Hall, you may have noticed, also unveiled its new electronic sign in 2018. We also made call center enhancements to allow us to better communicate with our citizens, and we implemented a new voting system with new election equipment to provide an easier, quicker voting experience. Another initiative last year was the launch by our Scenic Code Enforcement Division of a Neighborhood Recognition Award program. It gives residents the opportunity to formally recognize their neighbors who demonstrate pride in their homes by sprucing them up. Nominations poured in from throughout the city during 2018, culminating in an awards ceremony in December for several best dressed properties in Saginaw. That program will continue in 2019 as well. We hope to see additional growth momentum come out of our recent hiring of the marketing firm of AMPM to develop and implement a 3-year marketing and branding plan for the city. Having a professional marketing firm on board to guide us in implementing the plan will let others know what is available here today and the opportunities that lie ahead for all who want to be part of our community. Of course, people or businesses looking to locate or invest here in Saginaw will want to see a stable city government. They will want to see a streamlined regulatory environment and logical zoning rules. We have last year's increase in our general fund balance that I mentioned to demonstrate stability. But our goal in 2019 is to increase that fund balance further to demonstrate further stability. We've also implemented a new form-based zoning code to provide clear zoning rules for future growth and development in Saginaw. That zoning code will ensure that growth remains consistent and true in form and function to the commercial or residential district where it occurs. One example of that is in our downtown, new construction has to be at least 3 stories tall. In Old Town, it has to be at least 2 stories tall. There are many other similar improvements along the line of zoning. With regard to regulatory streamlining, I am proud to say that we are on track to receive redevelopment ready certification early this spring. This is a state certification that a positive, prompt, and user-friendly regulatory approval environment exists for developers, entrepreneurs, and businesses interested in investing in Saginaw. We will be one of only 32 communities in the state to receive that certification. We anticipate the completion early this summer of nearly $600,000 in improvements to Ojibwe Island. They will include an upgraded electrical system, new restrooms, and new dressing rooms for the park's amphitheater to provide a better venue for concerts and similar events. Visitors will also experience a new pedestrian bridge and a new multi-use pathway. Together, these improvements will enhance the utility and attractiveness of the island as a multi-use venue. I can also report that the year ahead will bring continued road improvements, enhancements to our street lighting, which will bring us additional cost savings, and further bridge enhancements to ensure safety and ease of travel for all who visit the city. Looking beyond 2019, the question is, what other efforts could we pursue towards our goal of reinvigorating Saginaw? The first focuses on the city's new economic development strategy discussed at Council's strategic planning session in January. We explored ways we could maximize economic opportunities for growth and investment and job and wealth creation. One of the most important strategies is to establish a local workforce labor talent pipeline among businesses, educational institutions, and entrepreneurs. Our goal is to pump new life into local job growth and development for established businesses as well as for emerging workforce entrepreneurs. The anticipated growth in technical and career trade training, the city-based Saginaw Career Complex will make possible, as a result of its recent accretion to the Saginaw ISD and the November passage of a countywide career and technical education millage, needs to become an integral part of this strategy. I have reached out to the ISD to explore how we can capitalize on this connection, and I anticipate working closely with the staff to promote increased use of our own career complex by students from throughout Saginaw County. This is especially important for our residents because many of our high school students will be unable to afford or aren't comfortable with pursuing a degree at a four-year college, but they may be willing to pursue and be highly successful at a technical career or skilled trade. On the business side, I'm sure many of you know this, many technical and skilled trades jobs currently go unfilled in this region for lack of trained workers. Any increase in opportunities for our youth to obtain such education and training will be a win-win for both our student citizens and for future economic growth and development in Saginaw. Further, the presence of Delta Center downtown will go hand in hand with the training available to students at the Career Complex. It will enable them to continue their education and earn an associate's degree in a technical or trade field of their choice. The availability of both facilities to Saginaw residents can be their door into the workplace talent pipeline we are building through our economic development strategy. Another possible strategy requires that we anticipate and start planning for a future of reduced reliance by our citizens on private automobile ownership in favor of other possibilities. This is already being seen more and more in larger cities, and even Saginaw is starting to see greater use of driving services like Uber and Lyft. A parallel possibility includes greater reliance on non-motorized transportation, but like bicycles, scooters, segways, and so on. Still another is increased reliance on electric and autonomous vehicles. As these changes develop, infrastructure accommodations will be essential to attract growth, but a failure to anticipate and plan for these changes will stifle such growth. We need to plan for bike lanes or sidewalk improvements to protect pedestrians. Being prepared for this future will also include having a new parking and charging stations in downtown areas for electric vehicles and off-street passenger pickup spaces and temporary storage for arrangements for autonomous vehicles or driving services. Also, an integral part of planning for more intense use of our commercial districts will be more attractive and walkable streetscapes. Saginaw wants to plan for this future. We want to think of street, sidewalk, and infrastructure design that will meet the needs of these alternate, more personal modes of travel as they become more prevalent. At the same time, the sooner business districts can accommodate new methods of motorized travel and greater non-motorized travel, the sooner urban residents, entrepreneurs, and investors will find us attractive. Clearly, since transportation changes are likely to drive a need for these kinds of developments in the near future, planning for them now is not only prudent, but essential to a future of entrepreneurial growth. I submit to you that all of these possibilities need to be anticipated if we are to be ready for our future. Of course, the question is, how will such changes be paid for? Saginaw has been crippled, as I've mentioned, not only by tax caps, but by state disinvestment in our cities. I will speak bluntly. Such planning will not be possible unless our state legislature begins reinvesting in local communities. Another question of alternative transportation rests on our willingness as a larger community to embrace more and better mass transit. STARS already serves outlying districts as far as Fashion Square Mall and Green Acres Plaza, also SVSU, and many places in between. Both customers and employees use STARS buses to get to businesses in these out-county districts. STARS Dial-A-Ride also benefits Saginaw area residents by providing access to services in the city like our hospitals. The need for public transportation service exists countywide. I suggest that the obligation of government officials to the public sometimes extends beyond our borders. It's my belief that public transit is one of those instances. I think we can all agree that there is an abundance of disorder, discord, and confusion in our world today. The news we hear of our nation's political, racial, and economic divides threatens to separate neighbor from neighbor. But I believe we can look beyond differences and come together to create a better community, one we want to call our home. I believe we should build gateways. Rather than allow obstacles to define us, we must and will continue to reach higher and dream bigger. All of us should be absolutely determined to see our recent progress continue so that future generations will know that in 2019, every choice we made, big and small, was made to create a better and brighter Saginaw. I encourage each of you to join me as a change champion for our city by becoming involved. Participate. Learn about our community by attending the many events, establishments, and cultural attractions that are available in Riverfront, Saginaw. Volunteer for one of the many worthwhile associations, boards, commissions, service organizations, or cultural activities that keep our community functioning, attractive, and vibrant. Saginaw today is a bridge from what it was to what it will become, from what is our history to what will be our future. Regardless of problems we may have to face, it is my belief that Saginaw is better positioned to address them than it has been in many years. I am convinced that the progress we've witnessed in 2018 and the steps we are taking in 2019 will help ensure that we are on the right path to a prosperous future and that we have positioned ourselves to successfully travel that path. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the city and county of Saginaw, Michigan.